Panginoon, maraming salamat po sa ibinigay ninyong panibagong pagkakataon upang kami ay matuto. Salamat sa pagkakataong maipatuloy namin ang aming pag-aaral sa kabila ng mga pagbabagong dulot na kinakaharap naming pandemya. Gabayan ninyo kaming lahat na mag-aaral upang malinang ang aming isipan at maunawaan ng lubos ang anumang leksyon na itinuturo sa amin. Gabayan din naman ninyo ang aming mga guro na patuloy at walang sawang nagbibigay inspirasyon at gumagabay sa amin sa kabila ng kinakaharap naming pagsubok. Sa iyo ang kaluwalhatian at aming pagsamba, Panginoon naming Diyos, sa pangalan ng iyong anak, na aming tagapagligtas. Amen.
Visual graphic design plays an important role in directing readers or viewers to particular information that the creator wants to convey. It helps to make the reading or viewing experience informative and interesting at the same time. It also speeds up comprehension as the majority of the population today are visual learners. It is a craft that, when mastered, can be efficiently used to create content for personal use and for the market. Students nowadays are inclined to learn graphic designing to comply with school assignments and activities which often require the use of graphics and design. As you are already aware, it is always better to use your own images in your work, especially if there are details needed that are not available to be downloaded from the internet. If works are to be distributed to other users, you should be more careful with the images you will use to avoid plagiarism. Aside from using it in your academics, you may also one day make a career out of designing. Many young professionals found lucrative jobs in this field as there is a wide variety of work opportunities that can be pursued, like graphic designing, product development, multimedia animation, product artist, or simply a freelancer designer. 7 Principles of Design. The principles of design are not just guides but are rules that a designer must follow to achieve the purpose of which the design was made. The overall visual impact of a design and how it's interpreted by the viewer will determine its effectiveness in conveying the information. This can be achieved by adhering strictly to these rules. We have balance and alignment, wherein it refers to how the elements within a design are arranged and distributed. It can be symmetrical or asymmetrical. For the second 7 principles of design, we have contrast. It is the inclusion of opposite elements in a design that will make it pop. It creates space and difference between elements in your design. Based on the given illustration, I have here 3 circles. The 2 circles has been shaded color white and the other one has been shaded color black. So that is contrast. The third of the 7 principles of design is what we call emphasis. It aims to draw the viewer's attention to a specific element, making it the focal point of the composition. Based on the given example, you can see there 1 square, then we have 5 circles, wherein square has been distinguished that differs from the other shapes, which is the circle. The next one is what we call movement. So movement refers to how the elements are arranged so that the eye is led from the focal point to the second most important part, the third, the fourth, and so forth. When movement is achieved, the viewer understands the story or narrative of your work. So based on the given example, out of those circles, a letter N has been formed, wherein those circles has been shaded by color black. Then we have proportion, wherein it refers to the relative size and scale of various elements in a design. This can be achieved by having well-sized and well-positioned elements within the design. So, not all the time, all the illustrations should be drawn in a bigger one. Not all should be drawn in a small one. So, it should be proportion. For the sixth and the seventh principles of design, we have the repetition. It is done by repeating a single element many times to unify and strengthen the design. So, somewhat similar to duplicating, multiplying, copying, and pasting the same element or design shapes that you have in your Photoshop. The last one is what we call the white space or the negative space. It is the empty space around the elements in a composition. The designer must learn how to utilize this empty space to achieve hierarchy and organization. So, those were the seven principles of design. The next thing that we need to know when we talk about Photoshop is the 10 elements of design. The first one is what we call line. A graphic design or any two connecting points that may come in many sizes, shapes, and colors. Lines are useful for dividing space and drawing the eye to a specific location. Lines can also send subliminal messages like kinetic energy and movement for a diagonal line, while a straight line suggests order. Based on a given example, we have there from the thin line to the thickest line, from the straight line to a jagged line or dashed line. The second one is what we call color under the elements of the design. It is one of the most obvious and important element of the design. Color creates mood for the design as each color says something: red for strong emotions like love and anger, blue for calmness, or green for peace. The third one in the 10 elements of design is shape. Any enclosed space defined by boundaries such as lines or color. We have their geometrical shapes, shapes that have structure and are often mathematical and precise, like squares, ellipses, and triangles. Organic shapes, shapes with a natural look and lacks well-defined edges, mostly associated with things from the natural world like plants and animals. The next one is what we call texture, wherein it refers to the feel or appearance of an object. The impression of texture in digital graphic designs can be achieved by using patterns. In Photoshop, we have there the default texture or patterns, which can be modified depending upon the color or the texture that will be chosen by the user. The fifth one is what we call space. The negative space or parts of the site that are left blank, whether that's white or other colors. It helps to create an overall image. For the next element of the design, we have their typography. A very important element of design that literally conveys that message of the design. Words are important, but the style of the words is equally essential. If text is used thoughtfully, it can make the design more visually appealing. The seventh one is what we call scale or size. The variation in size of objects, text, shape, and other elements that can make a design more interesting and can be used in emphasizing important parts. The eighth one is what we call the dominance and emphasis. This element has more to do with an object, color, style, dominating other to a heightened sense of contrast, thus creating a focal point. The ninth in the 10 elements of the design is balance. This refers to the distribution of the elements of the design, whether symmetrical or asymmetrical. Symmetrical is a balance achieved by equally distributing the weighted elements on both sides, starting at a center line. Asymmetrical, in this design, the weighted elements on the opposite sides are not even but still have equilibrium. The last in the 10 elements of the design is harmony. This is what you get when all of the elements work together and should be your main goal for the design. All the details, whether big or small, should be in accordance with one another. There are many graphic software that can be used to learn graphic designing, which ranges from easy to advanced. As it was already discussed in the first quarter, anyone can start from software as simple as Paint or online software like Canva. While this software does not offer advanced design feature, it can be easily used by beginners to practice their design skills and would make a great first step before using more sophisticated software like CorelDRAW, Adobe Photoshop, and Adobe Illustrator. While CorelDRAW is used to create vector graphics, Adobe Photoshop, on the other hand, lets you create raster images. Now, something to remember when we talk about raster. Raster is a graphics also known as bitmap. A bitmap is a group of individual pixels that collectively compare an image. If you break down a bitmap, it will be mainly tiny squares which are called pixels. This is where the popular word pixelized was derived from, referring to a low quality image that has been resized excessively to the point that it becomes blurry and distorted. Originally, it was created by Thomas and John Knoll in 1988. Nowadays, Photoshop is extensively used by graphic designers because of its powerful editing tools and layering capabilities, which gives depth to the design and ease in editing. It is agile, flexible, and accurate to use. It is so popular that word photoshopping was invented by digital art enthusiasts to refer to that process of editing or beautifying images. You will hear people say Photoshop my pimples or Photoshop my picture. The following are the uses of Photoshop. First, image writing. Photoshop is a superb photo writing tool that allows you to adjust proper color, touch up photos like erasing a blemish, apply filters, optimize photos, save photos in various formats like JPEG, GIF, TIFF, PSD, and PNG. You can also resize and crop photos. You can also use Photoshop in designing your own website. A Photoshop is used to style website, which includes mouse rollovers, buttons, or backgrounds. So it is not only used for editing pictures or images. You can create a simple website without memorizing a lot of commands or HTML tags. It is also used for project layout. It can be used to create business cards, posters, postcards, and flyers. A graphic creation. It has the power to form custom paint brushes and effects and wide variety of tools selected for making original graphics. The fifth one is pattern and texture styles. A Photoshop can be used to create beautiful patterns and backgrounds to facilitate. Another use of Photoshop is for politics and social media. It is widely used to design photos used for campaigns and advertisement. It is also one of the best tools to design logos. It is also widely used to create graphics for commercial advertisements, for careers and jobs, for because of the continuous demand for a graphic designer, Photoshop jobs are in demand both online and offline. It is also used in designing quote pictures. These are very popular today, especially in social media created by brands, people, website owners, and firms. Photoshop is one of the best software to use in creating them. Let us take note of this one. This module challenges you to level up the skills in designing that you have previously learned using CorelDRAW. Adobe Photoshop is also easy to use like CorelDRAW. The interface is not overwhelming with unfamiliar icons, and the commands are also verbatim. It will also be interesting to learn new tricks like the software's layering features, a way of stacking designs that allows you to try out as many possibilities for your work and easy to remove them if it does not work. There have already been very many versions of Photoshop starting from version 1 releasing in February 1990 up to the latest version 22.0 released this 2021. As each version is upgraded, it became equipped with better features that meet the demands of this ever fast changing modern digital world. This module suggests that you use Adobe Photoshop CC because of its advanced imaging capabilities. This is the version that will be used for this part of the module. But you can still use or optimize to use the older ones like the relative CS versions fit for beginners like you. The following are the Photoshop environment. When we say environment, these are the different parts that you can see once you open Photoshop. So we have there the menu bar. So normally it is located on top of your Windows application software program. The document tab, meaning to say these are the different documents that you are currently working on. We have the option bar, or popularly known as the toolbar, wherein toolbar provides quick access for frequently used command. We have the search bar, the workspace, we have the panels, so it is where you can see the different layers created or inserted. We have the document window, or what we call the working area, the zoom level and the status bar, wherein you can zoom in or zoom out, or you can indicate or you can see information pertaining to your document. Then we have the toolbar. So in CorelDRAW, we usually call that as toolbox. So these are the different tools that you can use in creating a drawing or illustration. A document window is the large area in the center of the interface where the image is displayed. We have the canvas. It is the area where the image is visible. The pasteboard, the dark area surrounding by the image. So how are we going to open Photoshop? To open Photoshop, that depends upon you on where you can see the application. In my case, I have placed it on my taskbar for me to easily access or open the Photoshop. In some other cases, you can see that under the Start button or the All Application Software. So just simply click the Photoshop and wait for the Photoshop to open. After turning on the Photoshop, you will now be able to see the environment or the different parts of the Photoshop. Now, how are you going to exit Photoshop? There are several ways on how are you going to exit Photoshop. You can simply click the close button. You can click the application icon. You can click and then click close. You can go to the file menu, then click exit. Or simply you can press Alt F4 to your keyboard or from your keyboard. So that is how easy on how are you going to open and exit Photoshop.